Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into one of the biggest questions you can ask. What is reality, really? Now, that might sound like a modern, scientific question, but it's actually a puzzle that philosophers have been wrestling with for thousands of years. And the key to unlocking it? Well, it might just be hiding where we'd least expect to find it, inside the world of modern physics.
So, what could possibly connect ancient spiritual philosophy with the super precise mathematical world of quantum mechanics? I mean, it seems like an impossible bridge to build, right? On one side, you've got ancient wisdom. On the other, hard science. But what if I told you they're basically telling the exact same story? A story about what it even means for something to be real.
And this is where it all starts. This is our central clue. It's a kind of riddle from a 2,000-year-old text, the Vaisheshika Sutras. It says that the fundamental stuff of the universe, what it calls reality, is present in things like color or motion, but it isn't the color or the motion itself. Okay, that's a bit of a head-scratcher. So to make sense of it, we need to get our heads around three key ideas from this ancient way of seeing the world.
Okay, first up, we've got this idea called dravya, or substance. The easiest way to think about this is as the thing itself, the underlying, well, stuff that holds everything else. It's the apple, totally separate from its redness or its weight. It's the thing that has the properties.
Next, there's guna, which means quality. Now, these are the attributes we can actually see or measure or experience. The redness of that apple, its sweetness, its texture. And here's the thing, these qualities can't just float around by themselves. They need a substance, a dravya, to belong to.
And finally, there's karma. Now, in this context, it just means action or motion. So think of the apple falling from the tree. That's its karma. So you put it all together, and here's the absolute key to this whole riddle. A substance has qualities and it performs actions, but it is not the same thing as its qualities or actions. It's something separate, something more fundamental.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds pretty philosophical, maybe a little abstract. But what if this exact idea has been hiding in plain sight this whole time in the world of classical, everyday physics? Let's go look for our first clue.
And would you look at that, the parallel is incredibly direct. In classical physics, we actually do this all the time without even thinking about it. We talk about a baseball as an object. That's our substance. Now it has a mass and it has a velocity when you throw it, but we never say the baseball is its mass or its velocity. No, those are just its properties. The object is the thing that stays the same even when its properties are changing.
In fact, Newton's first law basically spells this out for us. You know the one, an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion unless a force acts on it. This tells us its motion is just a temporary state. It's not what the object is. The object itself, the substance, is the thing that just keeps on being, perfectly echoing that ancient Vaisheshika idea.
Okay, so that's a pretty cool parallel, but you might want to buckle up because things are about to get truly weird and a whole lot more interesting as we step into the quantum realm. Because here, this connection, it's not just a nice analogy anymore. It's like we found the literal blueprint for how reality is put together.
In quantum mechanics, the most complete description you can possibly have of something, like an electron, is contained in a mathematical thing called the state vector. Just think of it as the ultimate quantum substance. It holds every single piece of information about that electron, all its potential locations, its potential speeds, everything. But here is the absolutely mind-bending part. You can never, ever observe the state vector directly. It's completely invisible to us.
So, if it's invisible, how do we get any information out of it? Well, it's all through the act of measurement. Look at this process. Step 1, you start with the state vector. That's our substance. Step 2, you perform an action on it, which in physics is done with something called an operator. And only then in step 3 do you get a result, a single concrete quality, like finding the electron at a specific position. The invisible underlying reality gives birth to the world we can see, but it is not the same thing.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This isn't some philosophical interpretation. It is a core rule of the theory stated plainly right there in physics textbooks. The most complete description of quantum reality is a thing we can never see, a substance we can only ever know through the properties it decides to show us. That is a direct mathematical echo of that 2,000-year-old riddle. It's staggering.
But believe it or not, the rabbit hole goes even deeper. We can take this whole idea and scale it up from one tiny particle to the entire universe, using our most up-to-date description of reality, quantum field theory.
So in quantum field theory, or QFT, the most fundamental things in the universe aren't even particles. They're fields. Imagine these invisible, energetic fields filling every inch of space and time. These fields are the true underlying substance. So then, what are particles, like electrons and photons? Well, they're just little vibrations, or what physicists call excitations of these fields. The field is the substance. The particle and all its properties are just the qualities and actions that pop out of it.
The Higgs field is the absolute perfect example of this in action. It's a field that stretches across the entire cosmos. It is our substance. And as other particles travel through this field, they interact with it, and that interaction gives them the quality we call mass. The Higgs field itself isn't mass, but it's the substance that gives mass to other things. It exists in the quality, but it is not the quality itself. Sound familiar?
Okay, let's just take a breath and step back for a second. We've just traveled from an ancient Indian riddle to the physics of Isaac Newton, to the bizarre world of the quantum realm, and finally to the very fabric of the cosmos. And through that entire epic journey, the same exact idea keeps showing up, again and again.
This table just lays it all out. The connection is undeniable. Just look at the consistency here, across 2,000 years of human thought. Vaisheshika philosophy called it dravya, the substance. Classical physics thinks of it as the physical object. Quantum mechanics gives us the unobservable state vector, and quantum field theory points to a fundamental field. It's 4 completely different ways of looking at the world, from 4 different eras, all built on the same core structure, a deep, underlying reality that gives rise to the qualities and actions we observe, but which remains completely distinct from them.
But the sutras add one final, absolutely mind-bending twist. They say this ultimate reality, this substance, isn't a universal, like the general idea of redness that all red things share. And it's not a particular, like one specific apple. It's something else entirely. It transcends our normal categories of thought. It's a fundamental state of being that underlies everything, but that can't be pinned down by the way our minds usually work.
And so we end up right back where we started, but now with a much, much deeper appreciation for the question. That 2,000-year-old riddle has become a frontier question in modern physics. If the substance of reality, whether it's a particle, a field, or the entire universe, is not found in any of its measurable properties, then what exactly is it? It seems that after millennia of searching, the true nature of reality remains a profound and, frankly, a beautiful mystery.